why when George Floyd was killed and that video came out, was there just this collective mainstream media horror?
I've covered many stories of white people who've been harmed by black people. I've covered many white people who've been who've faced the death penalty. There's something counterintuitive about police killing somebody who is unarmed.
I want to hop into a Piers Morgan panel as MAGA, of course, tries to play up this Ukrainian refugee stabbing as some culture war race issue that it really just isn't. So take a moment, leave us a like on the video, helps us out a ton, gives us a boost in the algorithm, and let's get right to the debate with some fact checks ready.
And the truth is, I didn't hear about the story until recently. And I heard about the story because of the right-wing, vocal right-wing people who were saying, hey, you guys are ignoring this for good reason, or you guys are ignoring this because of a racial agenda.
But this story was everywhere.
And then we began to talk about it.
Hang on, Mark. This story was everywhere. You're a journalist. You're a journalist. You're all over everything, right?
Yeah.
The idea that you weren't aware of it at all for 3 days. Come on. It's me you're talking to.
All I can do is give you the honest answer. And the honest answer is I didn't actually track the story until I started hearing complaints about the story not being covered. And then I did cover it. But I'm saying on the first day, I didn't know about it. Second day, I didn't know about it. That's the honest answer. But if you also look at my record, and I'm sure you did this because you're a devoted journalist, you know that I've covered many stories of white people who've been harmed by black people. I've covered many white people who've faced the death penalty.
I love how Piers' point and MAGA's overall seems to be that nobody is covering this story and mainstream media is ignoring it because the victim is white, but then also that, well, left-leaning content creators are choosing to not cover it because it's literally everywhere and there's no way they didn't see it. Whichever way the wind blows for them is where they're going to go for them to feel like they're making a point. I can't stress that enough, and I don't get how anyone takes that serious. I do love how Mark came with the receipts, though, of what is pretty obvious. This is just the right's game. The left doesn't play the race issue with crime. The right finds some random story where they can either go migrant bad, black guy bad, white guy victim, conservative victim, and then make it some viral story that they can never stop talking about and force you to condemn as they pretend that the only reason that they're talking about it is because nobody would if they didn't. Meanwhile, like school shootings happen that the right never mentions, deaths and stabbings every day that the right never mentions. It never just happens to be a black victim that they make go viral. Like, why is the right only doing this with the white ones? And they refuse to condemn any of the atrocities committed against black people because it's woke liberals trying to divide us on race. Literally not a single person on the left thinks this stabbing is okay, but millions on the right still make fun of George Floyd. Why do you think that is?
It's so easy and so lazy for people to ignore the story in the mainstream media, as they did for several days, completely ignore it, and then only report it through the prism of all these right-wing hate bangers are trying to play the race card with this story, and that's why we're now doing it, which is what they've been doing. I saw some headlines in the New York Times. I saw them on some of the CNN and others. And I was like, wow, what, you think that's the only reason? That's any justification for covering this? Is that because right-wing people on social media are saying it's outrageous that the media aren't covering it? You can point to that as the story. That's the nose. That's the peg. But it's not, though, is it? The peg should be that a beautiful young Ukrainian woman had her life snuffed out on a train, and the video is one of the worst things I've seen in a very long time.
You can go to CNN, MSNBC, literally any mainstream outlet and see that they covered this like the day of or the day after. You can go to like their websites, like there's writings, reportings on this. It was covered widely. And then you could go throughout the week and it was given wall-to-wall coverage while it was a viral story. I mean, it eventually did become more about how the right is trying to frame this and use it because they see a killing as politically advantageous. Is not the other way around. They're putting the chicken before the egg. I mean, it's simple, right? Outside of mainstream media, most people aren't just covering random crime stories. I don't ever just cover crime to cover crime. I do like politics and economics and social stuff. Most channels probably are structured that way. The channels that are structured for crime are more likely to cover it. When I cover this, and other left-leaning creators as well, it's things things of political significance, like police shootings, which can have to do with crime, but also speak to political significance and such. The Luigi Mangione shooting, right? But not just some random stabbing, or else they could just have, we would do this on 1,000, hundreds every day of white and black victims alike. It's the right that does random crime like this and then wants to sensationalize it for a racist agenda, all as they pretend that the left does it. I mean, and they realize quickly this fits in, it checks all the boxes, right? Like pretty white female victim, black perpetrator, big rap sheet.
Why, when George Floyd was killed and that video came out, was there just this collective mainstream media horror that made this the biggest news story of the year almost instantaneously? And yet here, there almost appeared to be the collective opposite response of just almost pretending it hadn't happened. And I don't buy the story that none of them saw it. I saw it. I saw a lot of people talking about it.
I think some
and I
people
was like, why is nobody covering this?
Yeah.
This is heinous. So I just think there is there's a clear double standard there, which I'm really struggling to get my head round.
I don't think that it's a double standard. Again, I think the question is, and that was the third point I was making, is that sometimes when we cover news stories intensely, it's because they become windows into broader debates and issues. In the case of George Floyd, there have been long-standing debates in this country about the extent of police power, about the limitations of police power, about police violence, etc. Also, there's something counterintuitive about police killing somebody who is unarmed.
And that's exactly it. Again, it's when these issues represent something that could spark a larger debate that is politically worthwhile because of legislation that we feel could be or should be implemented to prevent it. And right-wingers instead try to force, blacks or savages to be one, unfortunately. And again, unfortunately, stabbings happen literally every day. It is tragic. Again, they all deserve empathy, right? They all deserve our remorse. They all should be covered. But in reality, you can only put a lens on so many things. And it's about those that represent the larger political stories. And to compare the impact of a random stabbing to the impact of seeing a black man screaming and crying for help as an officer knelt on his neck, you're denying reality, right? To pretend that that's not symbolic of something larger, which is why it sparked national discussion in the way it did. And the national discussion here would be mental health care should be more accessible, and the criminal justice system fails sometimes, right? But Republicans just want to do Democrats bad. So instead it just becomes about Republicans trying to radicalize this, right? Or racialize it, that is, because, well, they are.